Kelly. I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi for the most part, and actually that's where we were when we moved to Rocksprings. If you don't live in Texas, you have to admire it. And I've admired Texas a great deal. So we decided that where we would go when we retired would be Texas. And that's how, that was the basis of that decision.
Retired Dr. Ben Banahan could have lived anywhere in the world. He considered the mountains a tropical isle, even a cabin in the woods. But you know, Ben could pretty much write his own ticket, and of all places, he chose Rocksprings. This rough and rugged country just felt like home.
I am a cactus-phile, and I love cactus. People around here don't have a deep appreciation for cactus at all. I mean, none. And when I started putting up greenhouses and saying, I'm gonna grow cactus, they would step back a foot or two because they had a nut on their hands. But I don't grow prickly pear. I have some, but I don't grow prickly pear. I grow succulents mostly from all over the world. And it's just a fascinating hobby.
Yep, Rocksprings is the heart of cactus country, a place with its own savage beauty. It's still wild and strong. You see it in the critters that somehow scratch a living off the land, this instinct to survive, a timeless quality that comes from deep within. They call it the Devil's Sinkhole because folks around here once believed it was the entry straight to hell. Of course, now we know that it's a natural phenomenon, an enormous cavern created when the ground collapsed thousands of years ago. At 350 feet deep, you could put the Statue of Liberty inside, and her torch still wouldn't reach the top. It's officially a national landmark and truly something to behold. But on what was a private ranch, few got the chance to visit. That is, until now.
Hello there.
The mission of this organization is to provide access to the sinkhole for people. We ask them to come to the Visitor Center in Rocksprings. We give them some information about the history of Rocksprings and this area. So the Plains Indians would come into this area, stay as long as they could have water, but there's no pottery or any kind of evidence of any villages in this area. You notice as we ride along here, we're not going uphill or downhill. We're not crossing any culverts. We're on the high divide.
They travel over some of the roughest roads of West Texas in the unair-conditioned comfort of an old prison bus. But you won't hear a complaint from this intrepid group. They know they're lucky just to be here, thanks to local folks like Ben Banahan, who volunteer as guides.
And then we get on to the main property, which is 1,800 acres. It belongs to Texas Parks and Wildlife. And the sinkhole is more or less in the center of that 1,800 acres. And once we get out here, we talk about the geology of the hole and the size of the place, things like that. And then we start talking about the bats. And while we're talking about the bats come out. And then we get very quiet because the bats are the show.
It is the spectacle of Devil's Sinkhole, millions of Mexican free-tailed bats making a nightly appearance to feed. They spend the summer days in the dark recesses of the cavern and then emerge in a swirling, whirling mass of wings. The tempest continues from dusk till dark. It is a cacophony of sight and sound, pure pandemonium, bat bedlam.
It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. It looks like a tornado coming out. There's just so many of them. You can't believe that there are that many. And they just keep coming.
Woo! They're swooping.
They are up close and personal with bats and loving every minute of it. Here at the Devil's Sinkhole, folks put aside their fears and learn to appreciate these harmless little creatures that do so much for man. For the guides, that moment of understanding is what it's all about. It is the reason Ben Banahan shares the secrets of the sinkhole.
They're learning about bats. There's a different attitude about bats here. Can you imagine what the attitude about bats was? Same it is for the cactus. They were just a nuisance and a dangerous nuisance, and get them out of the way. That's changing. It's like showing off some beautiful possession that you have. And then when they go back, they just can't say enough about it, how wonderful it is. And it's an awesome sight. It really is. This is millions of years of training has gone into this activity that we're watching. And that awes me, it really does.
Thanks for hopping in and traveling with us. Now click the subscribe button for more videos like the one you just saw.